know that one moment on a roller coaster that just wows you, surprises you every single time that you ride that roller coaster? Well, in this video, I'm going to share you some of my favorite moments on certain particular roller coasters. So, no, this won't be a vague, like, I like the first drop on a roller coaster or vertical loops. No, I'm talking about very particular moments on certain roller coasters that I consider are the best overall. Before I jump into today's video, I want to give a shout out to Colin, or CO1 and 2, who suggested this video on my Discord channel. Now, I'm not going to rank these particular moments, so other words, the first one that I mentioned is not saying the least favorite moment, or the last one is my most favorite moment, because honestly, there are just so many great moments on roller coasters that I just can't share it all in one video. Alright, let's get to the first favorite moment. The launch on Top Thrill Dragster. Not only is this one of my favorite moments on any roller coaster, it's also one of the most terrifying moments on a roller coaster for me. While I'm standing in line, all I can think about is that first adrenaline rush as you get launched from 0 to 120 miles per hour in 4 seconds. The roller coaster slams you into your seat as you accelerate down the launch. Of course, the fun doesn't stop there as you rise 420 feet into the air, but we're not talking about that, we're talking about that launch. Other similar great moments, like the launch on Top Thrill Dragster, would be the one found on Kingda Ka. It does have a rattle, so it's not as smooth like Top Thrill Dragster, but it's still a great moment. And also, we can't forget about the launch on Storm Chaser. It may not be as fast, but it still has that same adrenaline rush like you would have on Top Thrill Dragster. To get the most out of this moment of the ride, make sure to sit up front. That way you can experience the full force of the roller coaster, the wind just smashing into your face as you launch 120 miles per hour. The Pretzel Loop located on Manta. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit because the same sensation that you'll get on the Pretzel Loop on Manta can also be experienced on other flying roller coasters. Most notable is the one on Tatsu. The reason why I didn't pick Tatsu for this video is because I haven't ridden that roller coaster in 8 years, so I thought it wasn't really fair to say that that's one of my favorite moments because, well, it's been so long. As versus Manta, I just rode it like 6 months ago, so it's pretty fresh in my mind. If you've ridden one of these flying roller coasters, you know what I'm talking about. Here you are just in a flying position, and next thing you know, the roller coaster dives straight down and flips you right onto your back. The G-forces are just crushing your body into the seat. It's honestly one of the most intense moments you'll experience on any roller coaster. After that moment, Manta is all graceful, so it's really crazy that you have this one insane, intense moment on that roller coaster, and then the rest of the ride is just really fun and graceful. Now, as where to sit on Manta to get the most out of this element, I really don't know. If you sit up front, you're going to feel the coaster pushing you into the element, as if you sit in the back, you're going to feel that drag. So I guess it really doesn't matter because at the bottom, you're still all getting that same crushing G-forces. Personally, I prefer riding in the back row because I really like that whip sensation. The Zero G stall on Jersey Devil Coaster. This single rail roller coaster might have been a little underwhelming the first time that I rode it, but I've learned to appreciate one particular moment on this roller coaster, and that's the Zero G stall. Earlier in the day, the roller coaster runs pretty sluggish, which means that the Zero G stall is even that much better. This isn't the first time that I've experienced a Zero G stall. I've been on the one that's been like on Wicked Cyclone, Steel Vengeance, and also Steel Curtain, but they all are just not like this one on Jersey Devil Coaster. They don't last as long. This one keeps you upside down, which feels like for 5-6 seconds. I know it's not that long, but it's just amazing you're hanging upside down, and it's just so much hang time. Honestly, this moment just reminds me like being a kid when you would like stand on your head leaning your body against the wall and pretending that you're walking on the ceiling. That's how this Zero G stall makes me feel. So to get the best experience out of the stall, I'm not really sure where to ride. I would hear some would say towards the middle. I've only experienced Jersey Devil Coaster in the back row, but overall, I don't think you can go wrong with any of the rows with this element just because it's so long and extended. Now, if this Zero G stall gets me this excited, I can't wait to experience that moment on Pantheon. The JoJo roll on Copperhead Strike. There are many great moments of hang time located on Copperhead Strike, but there's one part of the ride that just sticks out unlike the rest of the ride, and that's the JoJo roll. Of course, this isn't the first time that we experienced an inversion. It was first created for Hydra the Revenge at Dorney Park. Unlike Hydra the Revenge, where you have a over-the-shoulder restraint, Copperhead Strike only has a lap bar. That way, it just feels so much more exposed as you slowly roll upside down. To get the most hang time out of this element, I recommend sitting up in the front row. Honestly, you can't go wrong with any seat because I think they're all about the same. The first drop on El Toro. This is the most epic first drop on any roller coaster. The amount of airtime that you experience riding this in the back row is just ridiculous. Not only is it an intense, forceful ejector airtime, it's extended. According to RCDB, the angle of this first drop is 76 degrees, but when you're looking at it, it looks like it's straight down. As wooden coasters go, this is the best moment of airtime and obviously the best first drop on any wooden coaster, period. As I already stated, the back row is the place to be to experience this first drop. Riding up front, you will get a little airtime, but nothing like the insane ejector airtime that you'll experience being dragged down that first drop in the back row. The 90-degree plummet located on Griffin. Okay, this is also another cheat, sort of like the Pretzel Loop that I was talking about on Manta. You can experience this insane 90-degree plummet on multiple dive coasters. Basically, any dive coaster will have this signature first drop. I think my favorite first drop of these is probably the one on Griffin, but honestly the one on Shikra is very close and I consider them almost identical. There's just something eerie about slowly inching up to this drop. As you look ahead, you don't see the track, it just disappears straight down. The roller coaster slowly tilts you over the edge, and you hang there for a few seconds before letting you go, experience some great floater airtime as you drop down that usually 200-foot first plummet. As where to ride, I always recommend sitting up in the front row, that way you get the full view as you hang there looking straight down to the earth. As for the best airtime, I recommend sitting in the back row. You'll get a little bit of a whip getting yanked down that first drop. The giant Outer Bank turn on Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance is loaded with multiple moments of great ejector airtime. Honestly, the whole ride is just one moment of ejector airtime, but there's one particular spot on this roller coaster that I really enjoy the most, and that's that Outer Bank turn. There's just something about being tilted in the wrong direction that you're turning while experiencing some insane ejector airtime is just euphoric. Not only is this a great moment of ejector airtime, it's also very much sustained, kind of like what I mentioned with El Toro's first drop. I really don't know how long you're floating out of your seat, but it's probably a good 3 to 4 seconds. To get the most out of this moment, I recommend a ride in either the front or the back of the train. This is where you'll experience the strongest forces. The quad down on Lightning Rod. If there is one moment of ejector airtime on any roller coaster that truly pushes the limits, it has to be this quad down. Unlike most roller coasters, where the ride starts to lose steam towards the end of the ride and the most intense moments of the coaster is located near the beginning, Lightning Rod isn't like most coasters. This quad down is just insane. I've never been on a roller coaster that gets more intense as you go along. By the time you experience that final hump, you feel like the ride is literally going to eject you from the ride, or the train is just going to break from the track and all chaos will ensue. To get the most out of this quad down, I recommend sitting up towards the front of the train. Honestly, even if you sit in the middle of the train, it's still an amazing moment. Well, basically actually anywhere you sit on the roller coaster, it's still going to be an amazing moment of ejector airtime, but I still recommend the front row. The first drop on Fury 325. I've already talked about that first drop on El Toro, and I said it's the best first drop on any roller coaster, and I stand behind that statement. With that said, I think Fury 325 has the best first drop on any steel roller coaster. The airtime is just fantastic, and also dropping 320 feet to the ground, it feels like you're falling forever. I'm sure the other Giga roller coasters by B&M are very similar. I have experienced Orion, and I would say the drop is kind of similar, but just not as intense like Fury 325. As for the best place to ride this roller coaster to get the most out of the first drop, sit in the back row. The front row is still fun, but there's nothing like riding in that back row and getting yanked over that 320 plummet straight to the ground. The giant airtime hill on Mako. I've talked about many great moments of airtime on this video, but what makes this moment of airtime so special is how sustained that airtime is. While getting multiple rides on this roller coaster back in May, I counted how long I was floating out of my seat on this roller coaster, and during that airtime moment, I counted upwards of 7 seconds where I was floating out of my seat. It may not be the most intense ejector airtime, but it's still a great moment overall. In some ways, I prefer some good sustained floater airtime over a quick jolt of ejector airtime. To get the most out of this moment, I recommend sitting up in the front row. I know that some will argue that the back row is better on Mako, but I was getting the best and longest sustained moments of airtime up in the front row. Well, thank you for watching today's video. What is your favorite roller coaster element? Let me know all about it in the comments below. If you want to see your video suggestion featured, go join my Discord channel. Also, it's just a great place to catch up as I do try to stay active on that channel. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to click that like button, and as always, subscribe. That way you continue to get great content brought to you by Extreme Thrills.